All right, y'all, let's cut the music. Welcome back. Welcome back to your favorite WMMA podcast, hashtag CB99 Talks. This is episode 164. Of course, I'm Combo Breaker 99. All right, y'all, what's going on? This is recorded live, so you know what it is. I'm going to be on here just kind of talking like I always do, right? And yeah, man, had to go ahead and do this one because I've been kind of busy, but a lot going on this week. So I said, let me go ahead and, talk about some things coming up. It's a big fight weekend again, another fight week here. Got a lot of stuff going on and, just a lot of changes going on in WMMA again, too, So just want to jump on here for about an hour or so and just talk, man. So make sure y'all hit the like button and subscribe. But yeah, man, a few things I want to go over today, man. Like I said, fight week. We got some big fights coming up starting Friday. We got a championship fight with LFA. That's a big fight coming up I've been wanting to see, for the hardcore fans, So LFA 189, I'm going to check that out Friday. Got a good main event. And, of course, we're starting before that at like 6 p.m. is the PFL 7 playoffs. But the main card starts at the same time as LFA at 9 p.m. We got two flyweight fights we've been looking forward to. I want to go ahead and see. I want to go ahead and see this. Dakota Dudakova. They've been putting her up here. They've been ranking her this high up. So I want to see some questions answered. So I want to see what's going to happen in this fight. So I'm going to tune in to both of these flyweight fights Friday. All right. And, of course, we got Saturday's card coming up. Just fill y'all in. The UFC Fight Night card starts at 12 p.m. Eastern time. I don't know whatever time that is for y'all in different time zones, but for me, that's early. This is going to be an early one. I think it's one of those UFC on ABC cards. So it starts at 12 p.m. Eastern time on my end. So that's 12 noon. And the main card starts at 3. I think it's like 14 fights too. That's probably why, it starts so early. So yeah, I'm going to try to get up for that one. I got to work this weekend, so I'm going to try to be up for that card. But a couple of fights, I want to see up there. I got them posted right here. Sam Hughes and Victoria Dudakova and Mackenzie Dern and Lupe Godinez. So that's a fight I want to see. All right. And let's talk a little bit more about Grasso, Shevchenko as we get closer. Just cover a couple of things again. And also, if I got some time, Rocky Pennington and Juliana Pena. Just talk about that fight a little bit. Still hasn't been signed or it's still not official, but we know what's coming, right? All right. Oh yeah, man. But before that, man, we got some unfortunate news for 3 WMMA fighters. Total, I believe we had 8 UFC fighters that have just been cut from the roster. That's five men and 3 women. And it's these 3 women right here. I think we knew this was coming. We had been talking about this. Some people asked me, do I think so-and-so is still going to be here? And I was like, I'm not sure. It's not looking good. And sure enough, all 3 fighters that have been kind of, running through my head a little bit as far as what's next for their future. It happened. It happened. I didn't want to speak it up, but this is what happened. Most of y'all already been talking about it, but I was like, oh man, here it goes, But yeah, we got Lucy Pudilova, Emily Ducote, and Mariah Agapova, no longer in the UFC. I think we already knew with Mariah Agapova because that was announced first, but just this past week, Emily Ducote and Lucy Pudilova, they announced around the same time, and I was like, oh man, that sucks, but it was coming. It was coming whenever you've seen the performances in the last two, three fights. It just didn't look good. It just hadn't been looking good for him. I picked Dakota a couple of times. I picked Emily Ducote a couple of times, but she just wasn't pulling through. Same with Pudilova. I was actually picking against Pudilova in some of her performances just because I wasn't seeing like this huge change, but I was hoping she was going to prove me wrong. As y'all know, Agapova things just hasn't been going well for her out of the cage. or in the cage, And I think the thing with all three of these fighters that's in common, well, I'll talk about that here in a minute. Let's just kind of go over their record here just so y'all know why they got cut. All right, first up, I pull up Agapova because she was the first to get cut. She hasn't got a solid win, big win since October of 2021, and that was a finish against Sabina Mazo. And in that fight, I think I picked Sabina. Did I pick? I can't remember. I might have picked Sabina Mazo, and the one time I picked against her, and I think she does win. But that was her last victory. That was her last victory almost 2 years ago. And then she came back in 2022, lost to Marina Moreau, lost to Jillian Robertson, lost a grappling tournament, and then she got finished by Luana Santos. So 3 losses in a row, all 3 finishes. And before the Mazo win, she got finished by Shanna Dobson, which I believe was like one of the biggest upsets in UFC history, I believe, because everybody thought Gop was going to finish her. But Shanna Dobson destroyed her in that fight. All right. So, yeah, overall, Mariah Gopova, her total record was, let's see, 2 wins in the UFC and 3 losses. Yeah, 2 and 5. 2 and 3 out of her 5 fights. And, in between those times, there was a lot of inactivity and just a lot of things going on with her. Well, I won't say there was like a lot of inactivity because she was fighting at least, let's see, once a year. She still was in there. It wasn't like she was going like for 4 years or whatever, but I don't think she fought at all in 2023. So, yeah, there was a long gap. Because she was out for 2023 because, there were some injuries. Yeah, there were some injuries and there was a lot of other stuff going on with her. So, there was a lot of inactivity once you think about it. And just not a lot of development either. With what was going on out of the cage, she really wasn't able to train properly, I think, or just evolve as a fighter. I think her biggest issue was her ground game. Never really perfected her takedown defense. Her striking was always on point. Her striking, her ability to finish and get a submission was nice. But her ground game was just never her strong suit. She just never had really good defensive skills on the ground. Never evolved. So every time she stepped it up against somebody with better wrestling or better grappling, she would get finished. She would just get controlled on her back. She was always fun to watch because, she had that energy. She liked to come in there and fight. And, she liked to put on a show. But it was just too bad, like, the skills couldn't catch up. At least, like, Priscilla Cachoeira has something going where she can hang around a little bit longer. But Mariah, she's kind of in the same boat now, too. But Mariah Gopova, she could never really put together a good string of wins. So I can see why she got cut. So from here, I think that, going to LFA or Invicta FC, that's wise for her. I believe she's going over to boxing. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, if she goes to pro boxing, I'm not sure because the work's going to be cut out for there. It's going to be a lot harder as far as, just really committing to one discipline, especially with somebody with her, gotta say, attitude, I think BKFC would be cool if she chose to go to BKFC because, she has that kind of grit for that type of sport. So we'll see. Hopefully things turn out for her, hopefully everything works out for her as far as what she was going through with personal problems and everything. So, yeah, Mariah Gopova was gone. And this one sucks for me, Emily Ducote, because I'm a fan of Emily Ducote. I've been watching her for a minute, since she was with Bellator and LFA. And, she was killing it. She was killing it. I always felt like she had a entertaining style. But I'm not going to lie, like, there were some times when I saw some of her early fights and I was kind of like, I like her, but there's something kind of holding her back. There's something that I like that she does well. But even in her Bellator fights, I was like, I think there's just a couple of things that she's lacking. And unfortunately, when she got signed to the UFC, it carried over here. It carried over to the UFC. She wasn't able to, same thing, wasn't able to make adjustments and evolve against some of the styles that I thought she could have beat. I think she kind of made it more so off of that knockout win over Danielle Taylor, which, of course, yeah, she's got the power and accuracy, but there was just never really a step up in like some of the basic things. But looking back at her record, let's see, Emily Ducote, Emily Ducote is 13-9. Only 30 years old. Only 30 years old, so it's not like she couldn't come back. It's not like she couldn't, but let's see. Her record in the UFC was she got signed in December 2022. July 2022. So she was in the UFC for 2 years. Let's see. Her record was 2-3 as well. 2-3 as well. She got 2 wins. Jessica Pena and Ashley Yoder. Then she lost to Demopoulos, Lupi, and Angela Hill, which those were all 3 tough fights. Those are all 3 tough fights for, Lupi, Demopoulos, and Angela Hill. The Angela Hill fight, that's kind of a give me where you can say, okay, I can understand why she lost, but I did pick her in the Lupi fight because I feel like she had the hands, the power. Same with Demopoulos. I was like, man, there's no reason she should lose this fight with her stand-up game. But again, there were some things lacking, and some of the things I talked about before, the lack of a jab. I think she's a little bit right-hand dependent. Footwork's not really there. She's not really using a lot of lateral movement. She's standing right in front of her opponent. So she lands good strikes, but she also gets hit with a lot of good strikes, so there's a lot of back and forth there. So if she's dealing with somebody with more power or somebody with better hands like Angela Hill, she'll get picked apart. So yeah, I can see how they decided to let her go at this point, but hopefully she can come back. I just think the basic thing she needs to really work on is lateral movement in the jab. I think she'd still be here if she had that lateral movement in the jab, because look at Joanna. That's really all she likes. She's got good takedown defense, and I thought she had a good ground game. Whenever she would go to the ground, I thought Emily Ducote had solid skills there. She's strong, but it's just a lack of movement and volume. If you just add a couple of elements to her and she can move, like Joanna, I think she would fare better. So hopefully they work on that. I think she also can go back to, if Bellator has 115 pound division, she could go back there. If not, Invicta, LFA, try to pick up that LFA belt, fight the winner of this fight coming up, see what she can do, yeah. But again, wishing her well, wishing Emily Ducote well also. She had a good resume too. She had beat, some pretty good fighters. She had fought Alima Lay, Vita Arteaga. She fought a lot of good fighters, came up short against some of those fighters, beat Zapatella, Danielle Taylor, Panay, Juliana Lima. So she got started early in her career. She's been fighting since 2014 as an amateur. So she's been in the game for 10 years, fighting since she was like 19 or 20. So I think there's room for growth there. I still think there's room for growth at 30 years old. All right. Last but not least, Lucy Pudilova. All right. Lucy Pudilova. Oh, this was another one, man. I was like, oh, man, let's see what she can do when she comes back. But when I saw her first fight back against Wu Yanan, which she won, there was still some things in there where I wasn't too sure about. I still wasn't too sure if Lucy Pudilova was going to be this different fighter. Now, in the octagon where she went, she had picked up 5 wins. And I was like, okay, she's looking good, got the confidence. This is where she needs to be. When she fought Talita Bernard over there, she lost. I was like, oh, okay, there's still something lacking there. So there was still some parts of me where I was like, she'll get signed again, but I'm not seeing the difference. When I saw her beating the girls at octagon, I was like, okay, this is probably the level that she can reach, but she deserves that chance. So, okay, she can get signed again, but she came back to the UFC, still had trouble with these unranked fighters in the UFC on the lower level. I thought she did beat Jocelyn Edwards, but still she didn't have enough to make it dominant. Lost to Eileen Perez. The ground game is issue. Still had issues there. Luana Carolina striking still an issue. Still fighting. Still taking it too long to pick up. So she racked up 3 losses in a row since getting signed. She came back 2 years ago as well. She went 1-3. And the UFC said, "Oh, gotta let her go. Gotta let her go as well." And I think that's fair. She was having trouble with girls on the unranked level. I don't really see. I didn't. Let's say if she did skate by some of these last few fights, I wouldn't see her beating girls like Chelsea Chandler, or, Yana Santos, or some of these Josiane Nunes. I don't think she'd be able to beat those bantamweights because that's where she was at. She's a small bantamweight too. Maybe if she stuck around 125 a little bit, maybe that she would have had time to grow. But even then, she came up short against Luana Carolina. So I think, going back to Octagon, she has a good chance to finish out her career there, be a champion over there. I mean, it might not make as much money as the UFC, but still, she's doing much better there. It's steady. So Octagon is another option. Go back there. PFL flyweight, if she comes back at flyweight, PFL flyweight, their roster could use her. And again, there's always Invicta and LFA. Bellator, PFL, I think Pudilova has enough to go over there and, get some more wins up under her career. She's only 30 years old, both 30 years old, her and Ducote. So at 14-10, I don't think it's over because, she's still a tough fighter, still entertaining. So she still has a few options. And I think all three of these girls, they still have other options. It's just not the UFC. I will say probably the one I would say could come back would be Emily Ducote at this point. And I'm just saying that because I see the potential now. If she doesn't get the right trainer to get her moving on her feet a little bit more and, just adding those few things, like I said, the jab and lateral movement, takedown defense. If that's not happening, then no. But if she does that, yeah. Like, I think if somebody like Joanna, since Joanna's not fighting anymore, if Joanna took her under her wing, just throwing that out there. If anybody here, if Joanna took her under her wing, I think that would be a good setup for her, to kind of follow suit like Joanna did at 115. So yeah, that's what I think. But yeah, man, shout out to all these girls, not most of them, but all of them. But I thought all three of them had some pretty decent fights throughout their careers. Good highlights. UFC just wasn't it, right? So yeah. What do y'all think, man? Y'all think these girls will be back? What's going to happen from here? Just let me know what y'all think. Okay, so like I said, we got another fight week here. LFA 189. We got the main event here. It's Natasha Kuzitina versus Bruna Ellen. One of my favorite strawweights that's been around for a minute now. This is for Natasha's LFA interim strawweight championship. So it's going to be a 5-round main event, of course. Who has the legit strawweight belt? I'm not sure right now. I forgot. But Natasha has the interim belt. This should be a good fight. This is probably going to be Natasha's biggest test. Natasha, she's 5-1. Her only loss came in Invicta against Fatima Klein, and that was her second fight. That was on her second fight in her career. Since then, she's won 4 in a row. She's fought at Titan FC, and she's won. Yeah, she won. Yeah, she won this belt against, what was her name? Giovanna Canuto. Yeah, she won this belt back in December. Well, let me double check. Yeah. Was it for a belt? No, it wasn't for a belt. Let me see. Yeah. Well, okay, yeah. She won the interim belt. She won the interim belt back in December. Yeah, against that Canuto. Yeah, I've seen Canuto fight a couple of times. She's still the young up and comer too. So yeah, she's defending her interim belt against Bruna Ellen. Like I said, this is her biggest test. She racked up 4 wins. Bruna Ellen, she's 7-4. Bruna Ellen, she's been pretty popular on the Bellator circuit. She's pretty much been a career Bellator fighter, since 2016, man. She's been with Bellator for 8 years. So, she's been with Bellator for about 8 years now. So, yeah, she's been there since she was 20 years old. She's only 28. So, yeah, Bruna Ellen's young. Bruna Ellen's still young, too. She hadn't even really hit her prime. One thing about Brunel, and I feel like she always comes up short because I think she kind of holds back. She has really good movement, good boxing. But some of those other fighters like Alara Yawani always edged her out. Ali Malay, even whenever I feel like she's building a good lead, that could be her downfall in this fight because she's dealing with a really, really good, strong, durable fighter here. One with good cardio, good judo, and just all around good ground game and good top pressure. I know Fatima Klein took on Natasha in her second fight. And for a second pro fight, Natasha did really well. And since then, she's been racking up wins. But like I said, there's levels to it. And this is going to be Natasha's biggest test. But if she's able to come in with that pressure and fight behind the jab and get this fight down, use her judo, this could be her fight. If she can continue throughout each round, just fighting at her pace and pushing her fight, she could win. But Bruna Ellen, if she keeps it moving and uses her counterpunching skills and her combinations, she could win this fight. I kind of lean towards Natasha in this one, but I would like to see Bruna Ellen win this one. I really would because, she's been around for a minute, still hasn't touched the strap yet, and I did want to see her get signed. I wanted to see her in the Tough House. There's one year when they had the flyweights. I wanted to see her get in there, but unfortunately she wasn't in there. She was riding it out with Bellator, but her last fight was against Alara Yawani, and she won that. Before that, she lost to Lee Malay. She beat Desiree Yanez. Came up short against Juliana Velasquez. Lost to Christina Williams. Beat Vita Arteaga. So she's been in there with some dogs. And she's been tested. So I wouldn't be surprised if she came in here and won this interim belt, though. I know, shout out to Easy. I know he loves some Bruna Ellen over here. He's been talking about some Bruna Ellen. He's ready to see her back. So, yeah, tune into this one, Easy. This one's coming up Friday. Main card starts at 9 p.m. I know I'm going to watch this one. It's the only WMMA fight on the card, too. So, yeah, make sure you check this one out. All right. So, moving on. PFL card starts at 6 p.m. But there's really no other WMMA fights on the card until you get to the main card, and there's only 2. So first up, we got the Bellator champ taking on former UFC fighter Liz Carmouche versus Tyler Santos. All right, so this one here I've been kind of on the fence about. It's a tough one, man. It really is, because they both are, okay, no fighter's perfect. But both fighters have certain things that I think could cancel the other out. All right. I think Liz Carmouche, she has a higher IQ. And I feel like she's been known to handle deep waters better. Like, I think Liz Carmouche can handle deep waters better. I think even when she's losing the fight, she knows how to keep her cool and still find a way to win. She just doesn't really go through the motions. Doesn't have the best striking form, but she does strike, and she will let her hands go when she has a person hurt, and she will use her best strength. She will use her best weapons. She will use her best weapons, and she can get finishes. She will finish when she sees that opportunity, on the feet or on the ground. Finish Conor Watanabe twice. Finish Deanna Bennett, and just knows how to stay ahead in the game. Knows how to stay ahead in the game in a fight. Doesn't care what anybody's saying. She'll stay ahead. Tyler, I think she's big, strong, has great jiu-jitsu, good defensive jiu-jitsu. Never really in trouble when she's on the ground. She really knows her way around the mat. I like her form. She has really good form when she throws. Good Muay Thai clinches once she uses them. Just looking back at the past, it really has a lot of power. She really has a lot of power, but her weakness is the fact that I think that she just doesn't really use her striking to the best of her ability. She's not moving her head enough. She has more offense than defense. I don't see her moving enough. That's why Jenna Bishop was cracking her with some shots. Erin Blanchfield was cracking her. When her back is to the cage, sometimes I think she's a little bit more so a little antsy. She gets a little antsy, a little edgy. But the crazy thing is, styles make fights. And, when they both fought Valentina, you can say Tyler actually won that fight, whereas Liz just showed too much respect. So I think Tyler has that grit in her whenever she does have a target in front of her. She's able to crack you and hurt you. She will get you out of there. Like Liz can finish people, but so can Tyler. The last few people she's fought have just been too they've just been durable and little too tough for her to just get out of there. But I think that Tyler just makes some bad choices sometimes. Both of them do though. But if I had to look at this one here, man, I really think Liz has the veteran skills to get this thing not done. I'm just saying she can get this thing by winning, but I'm not sure if she could stop Tyler though. Stopping Tyler is a big test. It's a big task, and I don't think she has that kind of stopping power. Even on the ground, I don't think she has it in her to like dismantle or destroy Tyler like that. Tyler, on the other hand, I think could finish Liz. I think Liz, I'm not sure if Liz could take that power if Tyler cracks her. Earlier, I was looking at Liz, but I think Tyler might be able to win this one. I'm really not confident in this one. I'm kind of just up in the air with this pick. I think Tyler could win this one here. It's going to take a lot. I think it really comes down to who gets their offense going in the first round and really sets that pace. And if Tyler can bag the first round, the second, then I think she'll be able to ride out the fight. Like if she fades in the third, I don't think Liz has enough stopping power. Even if she gets Tyler to the ground, I think that Tyler can hold out and make it through and coast and defend against anything Liz brings. So I think Tyler, just going by her offense, I think the first two rounds, if she bags them, she can win the fights. I think I'll lean towards Tyler in this one. I think so. The last few performances of Liz, just going back and looking, when she starts off slow, she kind of gives up a lot of rounds, even like against Kana Watanabe. And I think Tyler will be able to capitalize off of that. Tyler has a better chin than Kana, better ground game too. So I think she'll get those 2 rounds, but I think Liz will make it hard for her. I think she will make it hard for her in a couple scary moments in the second and third. So I'm gonna go with Tyler. I had a change of pick, behind the scenes, just thinking about, I think I'm gonna go with Tyler Santos. What do y'all think? Okay, moving on to this main event for WMMA fans. Dakota Dacheva versus Jenna Bishop. Again, man, Dakota, she gets the fight. Definitely not calling Jenna Bishop an easy fight, but I'm saying that Dakota, again, gets to fight the loser in the tournament, whereas Tyler and Liz and everybody else had to fight the winners. And Jenna, her last fight is fighting Tyler. Again, Dakota, it's just weird. Like, how does Dakota keep winding up fighting everybody who lost in the tournament? Chelsea Hackett, who lost to Jenna. Now she's fighting Jenna, who lost to Tyler. Where everybody else fights win. I don't know. Of course, I'm not blaming Dakota. It's just the machine behind her. We can't help but point it out. I can't help but point it out. That's me. That's my opinion, not y'all's. So I can't help but point it out, just saying, dang, man, like Dakota is a good fighter. Like, she's exciting. Like, I like watching her fights. But why is she always being matched up with the person that loses? Again, the machine behind her, they're putting her together. I'm sure she'll fight whoever they put in front of her, so it's not her. Again, I watch all her fights, but yeah, I just think that's weird. Jenna, her chances in this fight, she definitely showed what she's made of in her last fight. I mean, barely losing to Tyler Santos, split decision. Some can argue she won, and I could see it. She was connecting. She was connecting in that fight. She showed how tough she was in there and how scrappy she can be, and how tricky she can be on the ground. Like, I think the one thing that kept Santos ahead in the fight was her strength and her defense against Jenna Bishop's experience on the ground. No, Jenna's real slippery, so going into this fight, I see this as a basic striker versus grappler. But looking at Jenna first, man, like the one thing I'll say about this fight that makes it even deadlier than the Tyler fight is, the striking IQ and the finishing ability of Dakota and the confidence in Dakota. Like, this girl's long and tall. She uses her reach to the best of her ability. She's taller, she's longer than Tyler Santos, and she knows that this is her main suit. And Dakota's not going to want to go to the ground to Jenna, so she's going to be on her game with body kicks and punches. So defense has got to be the number one priority for Jenna Bishop, because Jenna Bishop is going to want to hit this fight to the ground and put effective pressure on. But in order to do that, you got to have a good guard, blocking body shots. You got to be good at distance management here, kind of like Carla Esparza, with wrestling. Carla, she keeps herself out of range of the striker, right? Of course, she couldn't against somebody Joanna, but like, she's fighting strikers that are thinking and trying to find those openings. She's completely out of range, and then she'll kind of, jab her way in, kick her way in, and she comes in at an angle. So Jenna's really going to have to make sure she's coming in at angles here, not keeping her guard up too high where she doesn't see like an uppercut or a knee coming, because uppercuts and knees are going to be coming in this fight. Dakota has a wide variety of strikes. She's a really solid Muay Thai kickboxer, boxer. She does all of that, so her striking variety is going to be insane in this fight against somebody that's coming forward. So Jenna's got to come in at angles. She's got to me, jab to the chest of Dakota. Don't reach too high. Just jab to the chest, kind of like Bilal was doing to Leon. She's going to have to keep Dakota's back to the cage. Don't give her any space. Be ready to catch kicks to the body and take her down, and then when she does get her back to the cage, she's going to have to rough her up. This can't be a technical rangy fight for too long. It's got to be, is this fight 3 rounds or 5 rounds? How many ever rounds this fight is? Let me see. I'm going to pull it up right now just so I know. Now let me double check with the Liz and Tyler fight. I think that one is a 3-round fight. Let me make sure. PFL 7. Let's see. Oh, yeah. All of these are 3. Let me see. Okay, yeah. All of these are just 3-round fights. Okay. Yeah, just 3-round fights. So, yeah, okay. For Jenna Bishop, if she has the cardio that she did in the Tyler Santos fight, it's got to be 3 rounds of nonstop pressure, cage wrestling, and trips and takedowns. She's got to be on her trip game in this fight. The thing about Dakota, I know how long she is and how she's really good at kind of framing up shots when she's got fighters on the inside to frame up those knees to the face. So I really can't see Jenna Bishop. I don't want to see Jenna Bishop going in there with like a crab type of defense where she's blocking and doesn't see like a knee coming up under her, an uppercut. She's got to be putting constant pressure on, putting Dakota's back to the cage and just making it an ugly fight. And if she gets it to the ground, yeah, like she's got to be in full control, whether she's able to get in like ground and pound. Because I know Dakota's going to be squirmy on her back. I believe Dakota's low-key been training with Joanna. Joanna's been watching her. Joanna has nothing but good things to say about her. So, she's probably been trying to help her perfect her takedown defense. So, she's going to be squirmy on the ground. So Jenna's got to just really get top control. Like, don't let up any arms to let her get any leverage, to grab the cage, try to scoop back onto the cage, get her out, take her down in the center, So, yeah, Jenna Bishop, I don't have to say anything about ground and pound. Jenna Bishop is really good at ground and pound already. Like when she's able to frame you and position you, she can land shots. So I think Jenna's got to look to really cut her and hurt her and see what Dakota's made of at this point. I know Jenna's 12-0. Dakota's 12-0, but she hadn't really faced anybody of the caliber yet of a Jenna to me. All right. For Dakota, I think for her, man, we already know her striking IQ is higher. She's 5'8", 70-inch reach right there versus Jenna Bishop, who's 5'5". She's already got like what 3 inches on her in height. Let me double check. Hold on. Oh, 5'4", 4 inches in height, and a 66-inch reach. So about 4 inches in height and reach. So yeah, we already know, and we gotta say youth too. I know Jenna Bishop is 30 years old. We look at Dakota, who's a mover, great cardio as well. She's gonna be moving. She's 12 years younger. So Jenna Bishop, all she has to do is this thing standing, pop her jab off, kind of cut Jenna up here, throw those body kicks at a range, and push kicks to the stomach, keep this fight at a range. At all costs, and again, like she's always doing, throwing with power and confidence, and look for the finish. You don't draw a fight out with a solid jiu-jitsu practitioner like this, because they always have that opportunity to sub you whenever you get careless or reckless, right? So yeah, this one here, man, I don't see it going the distance. I'm rooting for Jenna in this one. I like her style. Been watching her for a minute. Dakota definitely not a bad fighter. Like I said, if she wins this one, got to give her respect. Definitely got to give her respect. If she's able to handle and adjust to a ground fighter, if she gets into those situations, if she finishes early, then still gets my respect. All right. And then she'll take it to the next level. I really don't see this one going the distance. I think if Jenna is to win, she's gonna have to use her ground and pound and get a submission here. For Dakota, it's got to be her stand-up game all the way. I really don't see her getting a submission on the ground at all. I don't see that being her thing. I can see this going either way. I can see this fight going either way, honestly. But if it goes to standing, I think being real, yeah, Dakota owns it. Dakota will own it on the feet. All right. What do y'all think? I know some people feel like Jenna Bishop does have a chance. I mean, it's going to be a tough fight. It really is when you're looking at the IQ of Dakota, her stand-up game, when she's so committed to it. It is like early Joanna in that aspect where they know that Muay Thai is what they do. So this is what they do. They evolve the MMA with it, and they use the right techniques to keep them standing and keep them strong in their suit, and dominant in what they do, dominant in their strength. But should be a good night of fights. I think both. I can see Liz and Tyler going the distance before I see this fight going the distance, though. I'll put it that way. All right. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on to Saturday afternoon. Again, this card starts at 3. This UFC on ABC card, we got Sam Hughes taking on Victoria Dudakova. Let me pull this up here. I want to see when was the last time Sam fought. It feels like it's been a minute, but no, she just fought Yasmin Jauregui. Wait a minute. Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did fight Yasmin Jauregui in February, right? She just fought, and that was what, like going on 6 months ago. It's like 5 and some change. But yeah, shout out to Sam Hughes. She's been doing the work. I've been watching her train. Still keeping up with her. She's been doing the work that's necessary. Strength conditioning, sparring, perfecting her stand-up game. I think the one thing that's been kind of a thing for Sam in the past was like the lack of confidence. And that kind of happened, I believe, with her old team. But since she's changed over, she's been a little bit more confident in her style. So I think that going into this fight, you will see a much more improved Sam, committed to her technique. And I always felt like Sam, needed to train with somebody like Rose. They both kind of fight at that same pace where they like to pick their shots, precise, and use other tools. Like Sam, not just a striker, likes to wrestle, has a submission game. Has been doing that since early in her career. She just needs the right people around her, I think, to perfect that. So I would like to see Sam at some point sparring with Rose or training with a fighter like Rose. I think that kind of style would rub off where you could see, Sam start take fighters down more, surprising, adjusting in a fight. So with that being said, yeah, looking at Sam's resume, since she's been in the UFC now, since, she's taking that short notice fight back in 2020 against Tisha, it's been rough. She had went 3 fights. She went on a 3-fight losing streak. But unlike Dakota and them, that got cut like after 2 and 3, they kept it around because that was kind of rough. Coming in short notice to take on Tisha Torres, but the next 2 fights she had were close. Like Luana Pinheiro, I thought she won that fight. She came out. She didn't really take too many shots in that fight. She came out clean in that fight, I thought. I thought she came out the victor to me. The Loma fight, that was a lesson learned. She kind of got started late in that fight. When she got into a groove, it was a little too late. Most of her losses have been close, too. The wins that she's had were all pretty much hers. They were never really close, whether it was Elise Reed, Jacqueline Amram. She pretty much won those fights. But even the losses, man, like the losses have all been tough, except for the Tisha fight. Tisha and the Yasmin Haridi fight, those are probably the most lopsided fights that she's had. But the rest of her fights, they've all been like competitive. And I think, now it just comes down to her having more confidence in herself, which I believe she has. Taking on somebody like Victoria Dudakova, I think that she has enough skills here. I think she has the pacing, the counter striking, even the ground game. Even if she has to take this fight to the ground. Victoria Dudakova, she's not a small strawweight, though. I believe she was going to fight Gatto, right? Gatto at 125. She's about 5'5", pretty muscular, 67-inch reach. This is Dakota I'm talking about. She's kind of a big strawweight. But I believe Sam is about 5'5". I think they're about the same height, but I think Dakota fills out a little bit more muscular. But I think technique-wise, I think Sam has the skills. I think she has the jab and the wrestling to win this fight. She just got to get started early. That's what it just comes down to with Sam. Dudakova, I still really haven't seen enough of her UFC-wise to really think that she could be dominant in this fight. I know she's 8-0, and yeah, I've seen some of her fights, of course, but she has a number of finishes early in her career. Like she has a submission game, I will say that. So Sam has to be careful on the ground. I think her jiu-jitsu is good. Pretty good high kicks. She's a little bit more athletic. But when she takes periods off, I think that's where Sam, has to be. She has to be in there with more pressure. She's got to be in there with more pressure and get started early. I'm gonna lean towards Sam in this one with experience. She's had a lot of fights and seen a lot of different looks. So I don't think there's any reason Sam, should be in trouble in this fight. I don't think this is really anything she hasn't seen before. Let's see, since 2020, Sam has had how many fights in the UFC? 3, 6, 7, 8. She's had 8 fights, and she is currently 4-4. So she's seen a lot of different styles. Dakota had a lot of cancellations. Dudakova has a lot of cancellations. Well, a few. I won't say a lot, but just the things that's been going on with her, I'm not even sure. Like, hopefully this fight comes to fruition. I hope it happens that night because she did pull out of the Gatto fight last minute. So hopefully everything's okay and hopefully she's 100%. But yeah, I'm gonna lean towards Sam in this one. I think she has more experience with it for Dudakova at this point because Dudakova really hasn't had a chance to me be consistent yet in the UFC. So yeah. All right. This is an interesting fight now. Mackenzie Dern and Lupi Godinez. Both fighters have me yelling at the screen here sometimes. They both have me yelling at the screen. Why? Because of the lack of IQ. The lack of IQ with these two, man. Like, there is just no. Sometimes there's just no winning with these two. Like, when they're in there, like, you just see that opening and they just keep missing it. You're like, oh, man, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing in there? Or like when they make easy fights hard. Like both of these fighters they both have attributes that should have them in the top 10 right now. There's a point where I was thinking Lupi had skills to get her to the top 5. Frame, athleticism, strength, all of that. Same thing with Mackenzie Dern. I thought, she's built tough. This girl is built tough, but it's the things, you know, with some fighters, you always say it's the things you can't teach. Well, with these two, it's the things you can teach that's holding them back. Like, they have the heart, they have the power, they have the dog, they have the size and strength, I think, for good, solid straw weights. But the things you teach, I feel like that's what they're lacking. Like control, composure, knowing when to go in for the kill or knowing when to hold back, knowing when to adjust. Like Mackenzie Dern, man, I mean, the Lemos and Andrade fight, seeing that girl get whiplash from some of them big shots in there, I was like, yo, like, Dern, slow it down. Like, there's a blueprint. There's a blueprint for who you fight right now. You should not be losing the way you are, and you should not be taking shots the way you are. That's what I'm saying. Like, things like that. Like, the heart is what keeps her in there too long. You can teach defense, but you can't teach a person to slow down, right? You can't teach that. That's what it is, right? And that's kind of what makes it hard to pick Dern in some fights. Even this fight. Same thing with Lupi. Like Lupi, I feel like, she's had opportunities in fights where the wrestling was there. Like when she fought Angela Hill, I was like, take a page out of what do what Verna did. Do what Verna did. Take Angela down and just wrestle her. I know she takes a lot of short notice fights, but that's the problem. I know these fighters, they want money. I know you want money, but that's not going to be an excuse every time. Because I know I had a commenter always come on his channel and say, well, she's undefeated whenever she has a full training camp. Yeah, I'm sure. But at the same time, she's making it harder for herself whenever she's taking those short notice because it kind of holds her back. I know they need the money again, but there's been times when she's in there and you can see her kind of fading, and the more you take short notices, more losses you might rack up, and the more you have risk of getting cut, right? So I think somebody like Lupi, when she's this young and this fresh still and has a lot going for her, I think, she's got to take the fights that mean something. And at the same time, take that time out to train, and take that time out to train and really, really commit. And this is a fight right now that she really needs. Like, her last fight wasn't good. The last fight against Verna, that was a fight that I thought she had the ability to win. One reason I did really pick against Verna in that fight was because of inactivity. I thought that Lupi was going to push it and, use her boxing. But Verna was outboxing her. When Verna started outboxing, I said, oh, okay, I see what's up here now. Like, Lupi's not making adjustments here. She's not using defense. She's not moving her head here. Like, she's just more of an offensive boxer. Like, she's not using lateral movement. And then even on the ground, she was in trouble there a couple of times against Verna. So, I think that there was a lot that Lupi still has to learn in such a short amount of time now that she's already ranked, and I think that just that probably came from, those periods of, taking short notice fights too. I mean, that she's ranked now, but still, like, there was those times where you jump in there real quick, fight short notice, and you lose. It can be a confidence killer, confidence builder sometimes it's a confidence killer. But I think, going into this fight here, man, Lupi, she has a chance more so than she did against Verna. Mackenzie's, she's one of those fighters that's, again, known to kind of give it to you. And I mean, give you the victory. And I hate to say it that way, but she does. Like, she's good at finishing, on the ground. She's great there. But she's giving these last few fights away. Like Lemos, Andrade, she served her chin up to him. Marina Rodriguez, the chin is right there to be hit. Once you put those hands together and you play the matador, you can outstrike her, you can outpoint her. So I think Lupi just has to really be on her movement here, pace herself. And number one thing, man, is like defense with her. Like, the minute, I keep saying this, and this ain't to be funny with these fighters, but when you have scar tissue or you have a nose, pronounced nose, you will bleed easy and your breathing will be compromised. And there ain't nothing to be funny about, because even when I spar, my lips are prone to being cut because I have lips. Let me put it that way. I have lips, so pronounced lips. So every time I get hit my bottom lip, I get cut. And I'll tell that now because I don't plan on fighting anymore. I don't plan on fighting. So that's a weakness I give away. I get hit in the mouth, it bleeds easy. So same thing with Lupi. She gets hit in the nose. Montana Del Rosa, Andrea Lee, Misha Tate get hit in the nose, you leaking, and then you have trouble breathing. So I think that's one of the things that I think Lupi needs to really make sure she's on here, because Mackenzie Dern has just linked back up with Jason Priyo for however long now, and she's gonna be thumping. She's gonna be coming with those long straight punches, and they're gonna be wild. But if Lupi's not moving her head, her feet, Mackenzie's gonna be hitting her. And I don't think Lupi has the power like Andrade Lemos to get her respect. She's got power, but not knockout power. Like Lupi can put shots together. Like I say, like her power is a few. Let's see, it's under Marina Rodriguez, okay, but there's still some thump there. Like Lupi has damaging punches. I'll say that Lupi has good thudding punches, but it's not concussive. All right, so she can put shots together. She put some shots together, she's gonna have to move, because we already know Mackenzie Dern has a great chin. I don't know who thinks Mackenzie Dern's chin is chinny. Mackenzie Dern ain't chinny, like not at all. Her IQ is chinny. Her IQ is shaky, but her chin is solid. That's why she made it through a Lemos fight, and that's why she took as many Andrade shots she did. So I think Lupi here can't go in here banging. I think Lupi's got to land and move, and a cage wrestle only if she has to, but keep it moving. She's got to keep it moving in this fight. She's got to keep it moving and landing combinations, because she's not going to knock out Andrade. She's not going to knock out Dern unless Dern, her chin is aged from all those shots she took from the previous fights. Okay, so yeah, I don't want to see Lupi in this trouble like she was with Verna, and I don't think Dern really offers that type of IQ like Verna did. Styles make fights. I know Dern beat Verna, but I thought Verna won that fight. So Lupi has to keep it moving, keep her boxing, keep her boxing intact here. Mackenzie Dern here, she's got to be smart. She's got to be using the long jab. She's got to time herself and pace herself. Don't walk into punches. Keep her chin tucked. Put a lot of pressure on Lupi. Back her into the cage and jab her way in with right hands till she continues to target the nose and get this fight to the ground. I think her strength is very good for 115. I think Mackenzie's really strong. She just needs to really learn how to control herself sometimes, and she just gets so excited. I think kind of gives her wins away. But yeah, Mackenzie could actually win the striking match in this one. I will say that. I think Mackenzie does have the ability to win the striking if Lupi's not moving. And even then, like if Mackenzie's listening to what Priya was saying this time around, she should be cutting the cage off and fighting a little bit more controlled pace here. All right. With that being said, I think I'm going to go with Mackenzie Dern in this one. I think Mackenzie Dern has seen a lot of styles here. She's been in there with Marina, Jan, Andrade, and Lemos. And through all of those losses, she's had to pick up something. I think in all of those fights, they've all presented something that I think Lupi doesn't. And that's like the ability to really like cut angles and just control a pressure fighter round after round. Like Jana controlled her, Marina did, Lemos did, until she would go to the ground with her. And if Lupi goes to the ground with her, I think Dern, wins it there for sure. But Andrade had fun with it, because she was that confident in her power and what she's able to do. So yeah, I think learning from those losses are definitely gonna. It's crazy that Mackenzie Dern's losses are what I feel like is gonna pull her through a loopy fight. But no, it makes sense because what they did, I don't think Loopy really does that well like them. And as of lately, I just didn't see it in that Verna fight. So I think offensive striking here would favor Dern, and of course the ground game does. So I'm gonna go with Dern by unanimous decision in here. I don't even know if I put up a poll for this one yet. Did I? I didn't. Did I? I sure didn't. All right. But yeah, should be interesting, y'all. Should be interesting. Should be interesting night of fights for us WMMA fans. These two fights here are better than the previous fights from last weekend. Or it should be, right? I think we're guaranteed some good fights here. Sam's always a good fighter. Loopy, Dern, they always bring action. Let's look at Mackenzie Dern's resume here real quick. Let's see how she's looking. 13-5 right now. 31 years old. She's lost her last two fights. Oh yeah, so she's gonna be dangerous and hungry, man. She's gonna be hungry as heck. Dern's gonna be ready, man. Her last fight was Angela Hill win last year, so she hasn't tasted victory. She really hasn't. Well, dang, man, Mackenzie Dern really hasn't tasted steady victory in a while because I didn't think she won that Tisha Torres fight. Let's look back her last 5 fights. Woo, let's see. Okay, so her last, oh man. Well, this is going by resume now, so Loopy's different than these other girls. So I thought, okay, yeah, Marina, she lost to Marina. I thought she lost to Tisha. She lost to Yan Jana. She beat Angela Hill decisively. Then she lost to Andrade and Lemos here. Okay. So out of those 6 fights, I believe she's really 1-5. Wow. To me, Dern is really 1-5. To me, Dern is really 1-5 in her last 6 fights. The most convincing win she had was the Angela Hill fight. But then she lost to, I thought she lost to Tisha. I mean, she had Tisha in some scary moments, but I thought she lost that fight. But yeah, she lost every other fight though. So dang, man, that's wild. But then again, she beat Angela Hill, and Angela Hill beat Loopy. I know styles make fights, but I would still go with Angela. I would still go Mackenzie Dern in this one because Mackenzie knows how to handle this level of fighter. Because other than that, yeah, Mackenzie was fighting fighters I think are better than her. Like Tisha, Marina, Yan, Andrade, Lemos. All five of those fighters, are still levels above Dern. And I picked against her in all those fights except the Andrade fight. Yeah, I picked Mackenzie to lose all of those fights except the Andrade fight. I thought the only fight she would win was the Andrade fight. Did I? Or did I pick her to beat Angela? I can't remember. No, I think I picked Angela to beat her. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, that just shows you, she doesn't beat that level, but yeah, I still think she could beat Lupi Godinez level of fighter. I think she has enough in there because Lupi's beaten Tabitha Ricci by split. She beat Dakota, Cabillo. So she definitely has more wins than Dern, but Dern's been fighting higher caliber fighters, which should be making her better. Should be making her better as a fighter, right? So yeah, I'll go with Dern. I'm gonna go with Dern and Sam here. What do y'all think? Right. So yeah, man. Moving on to the last one here. Yeah, Grasso Shevchenko still a lock here, y'all. Also on the card. I'll probably come back and talk some more about the overall card. UFC 306. I'm gonna cut out here in a little bit. Let's see, UFC 306. I just want to pull up the WMMA fights on here just to fill y'all in on what's already locked in. All right, so yeah, we got Yasmin Jauregui versus Ketlin Souza, Irene Aldana, Norma Dumont, and of course the co-main Valentina Shevchenko. Well, Lex Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko. those are the 3 fights we got for WMMA coming up on that card. And I'm gonna probably come back and do a video talking about Irene Aldana and Norma Dumont. I love Irene Aldana's style, but I really want to see Norma make it. Like, Norma's been grinding hard, can't knock her. And I really want to see that matchup, Norma and Kayla Harrison now. Like, I want to see how they match up. Like, Norma's problem in the past is big punchers, but Norma, I feel like, has a style that could kind of frustrate Kayla Harrison. And if Norma can get by that style, then Norma can do anything. To me, I think like the most hopeful, like, everybody's been talking about how Kayla can run through the whole bantamweight division, which I understand why, because of the state it's in at this point. A lot of older fighters, and Kayla's huge. But I really think like Norma's probably the one style matchup that might be trouble, or probably will beat her, that can beat her. Really, like, when you're talking like size wise and just confidence right now, size, even like style wise, for Pena versus Harrison, I think Kayla Harrison would just be too much for her physically, So yeah, I think Norma would be that one, if Norma can get by Irene Aldana convincingly, But yeah, Grasso Shevchenko videos coming on that. I'll probably do a couple round by rounds, just to stir up y'all in the comment section. We're gonna talk about the first fight, which was easy to call, but the second fight is where it's gonna really ruffle some feathers, which I don't care. That's what we do over here. But other side note, I believe we have Ketlin Vieira and Kayla Harrison, UFC 307. For UFC 307, that's coming up. It's not official, but yeah, I believe that's coming up. I believe Carla Esparza has got some fight news as well. She's coming back. Demopolis and Amarum, when's that fight coming up? I think that's coming up in August, right? Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got on this one, guys. I just want to come in here and talk about these fights here real quick, what we got this weekend, give my picks. But I'll make sure y'all hit that like button and subscribe everywhere here. We'll start updating this site again. I got to, man, because it's good promotion for WMMA, So, I get that up and running again. Y'all just subscribe down here and hit that like button. And like always, Combo Breaker 99, I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.